In a dramatic twist, Donald Trump unleashed another bold tariff move just as Canada's Ontario Premier Doug Ford warned that power might be cut off completely to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. The announcement hit like a sudden downpour on a quiet afternoon. Could this be the start of a fierce trade storm? The tension in the air made every word feel like a thunderclap. True to his promise, Ford immediately set a 25% tariff on Canadian electricity heading to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota on Monday. The decision reverberated like a clap of thunder across the border, leaving everyone to wonder what the next move would be. Ford, who leads Canada's largest province, made it crystal clear that he was ready to pull the plug on electricity if the United States kept pushing the envelope. The threat, as sharp as a sudden blackout, raised the question, how much pressure can America take before the lights go out? Not one to be outdone, Trump shot back with a mocking tone, insisting that his planned retaliatory tariffs would cancel out anything Ontario tried to do. His words sparkled with bravado and a hint of mischief, as if daring his rival to take the next step. On Truth Social, Trump snapped, despite the fact that Canada is charging the USA from 250% to 390% tariffs on many of our farm products, Ontario just announced a 25% surcharge on electricity, of all things, and you're not even allowed to do that. His message rang out like a challenge in a crowded room, stirring both laughter and outrage among his followers. With a confident promise, he added that on April 2nd the U.S. would just get it all back when its own tariff plan kicked in. That date loomed like a final deadline, a moment set to flip the script in this high-stakes drama. As the verbal volley continued, Trump kept launching barbs at his northern neighbors, all while repeating his famous call to make America great again. The air was thick with the energy of a rally, leaving the audience on edge and eager for the next twist. In no uncertain terms, he declared, Canada is a tariff abuser, and always has been, but the United States is not going to be subsidizing Canada any longer. We don't need your cars, we don't need your lumber, we don't need your energy, and very soon, you will find that out. Each word hit like a hammer, mixing humor with a serious warning that no one could ignore. Speaking to reporters on Monday, Ford warned, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. Believe me when I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people, because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump. His voice carried both regret and steely resolve, leaving everyone hanging on his every word. Over the weekend, Ford made it clear that Canada wasn't going to back down, even after Trump announced on Thursday a one-month delay on the 25% tariffs for many imports from both Mexico and Canada. The calm before the storm was filled with uneasy whispers. Was this just a pause, or a sign of more to come? Then, on Friday, Trump reversed his course once more and threatened Canada with a 250% tax on its dairy and an extra tariff on lumber, set to take effect as soon as next week. The swift change felt like a sudden twist in a suspenseful movie, leaving everyone wondering how high the stakes could get. When asked on Fox Business if he would back down on Canada's reciprocal tariffs, Ford made it plain that he would only ease up once Trump stopped threatening his allies. His steady tone left little doubt. The battle was far from over, and loyalty would not be compromised. With heartfelt sincerity, Ford added, Canadians love Americans. I love Americans. It's been 20 years of my life. But in saying that, no, we're going to put a 25% tariff on electricity coming from Ontario to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. His words blended warmth with firmness, making listeners pause to consider the true cost of these measures. He didn't stop there. Isn't this a shame? It's an absolute mess. He's created chaos, Ford fumed, letting his frustration spill out like a heavy rain, leaving a lingering sense of disorder. Later on his social post, Ford wrote, the only thing that's certain today is more uncertainty. A pause on some tariffs means nothing. Until President Trump removes the threat of tariffs for good, we will be relentless. This stark message left readers with a chill and the sense that the drama was only just beginning. Ford also pointed out that while not every resident in the three states would feel the pinch, at least 1.5 million Americans might see their energy bills rise as a direct result of these tariffs. The numbers echoed like a warning bell in a quiet neighborhood, urging families to brace themselves for harder times ahead. During his Fox Business interview on Friday, Ford refrained from naming Trump directly but slammed the president, saying that his tariffs were completely at odds with the promises made during the campaign. His words struck a chord, suggesting that what was promised and what was delivered couldn't be further apart. He reminded everyone he ran on a mandate to lower costs, lower inflation, create more jobs. It's the total opposite. People are going to be losing their jobs in the U.S. and in Canada. The stark admission painted a picture of a policy gone awry, leaving many to question where the promises had gone. With deep concern, Ford lamented the impact on ordinary families, saying, "The market is going downhill quicker than the American bobsled team right now, and it's unacceptable." The situation he has put American families in, Canadian families, and around the world, it's just going to hurt. His tone was heavy, as if every word weighed on the hearts of those listening. Earlier, in an interview with a major news outlet, Ford had made it clear that these tariffs would go ahead regardless of Trump's next move. "We have to follow through," he insisted, his voice firm as the reality of the situation set in. This fresh wave of tariffs is being called the most sweeping since America once imposed 50% tariffs on all manufacturing goods back in 1890. The historical echo stirred memories of past battles, making the current clash seem both new and strangely familiar. Those old tariffs were set by the 25th president, William McKinley, a time Trump now refers to as the era of the tariff king. The mention sparked debates and added a vintage twist to the modern standoff. With a flourish as he signed the new order, Trump declared, "Tariffs are good, tariffs are great actually." His words, simple and punchy, burst out like a rallying cry, drawing both cheers and groans from the crowd. Yet, even as the scene buzzed with energy, the message remained, nothing was certain. A temporary pause on some tariffs meant little, and as long as tariff threats lingered, the fight would go on. The unresolved tension left everyone waiting for the next move like the final scene of a suspense thriller. He also warned that U.S. prices could go up because of these measures, sparking fears of a trade dispute that might last longer than anyone hoped. The possibility of higher bills loomed like dark clouds over everyday life. Online, Trump hyped the new order as a major event, using his signature phrase to grab attention in the digital crowd. His online shout resonated far and wide, setting social media abuzz with reactions and predictions. In one emphatic tweet, he declared, "Today is the big one, reciprocal tariffs. Make America great again." The exclamations jumped off the screen, echoing like cheers in a packed stadium. A senior White House official later described how these tariffs would reach far beyond what other nations impose on the U.S., covering not just taxes but also burdensome rules, tricky exchange rates, and unfair tax structures. The explanation painted a broad picture of economic challenges that felt as complex as they were unavoidable. The official bluntly noted, "It's patently obvious on its face that they are cheating us." That straightforward remark added another spark to the ongoing debate, leaving no doubt about the growing frustration. Under the new plan, the reciprocal tariffs mean that imports will be taxed at the same rate as the tariffs other nations charge on U.S. exports. Yet the rules leave plenty of room for Trump to adjust the rates as he sees fit, making the whole setup feel as unpredictable as a shifting maze. The same insider explained that the order would also factor in a host of non-tariff barriers, those hidden obstacles that hurt American businesses in less obvious ways. This extra detail reminded everyone that the issue wasn't just about taxes, it was a whole web of economic challenges. Just when some expected even harsher measures, Trump surprised many on Thursday by postponing certain tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada. This unexpected delay came as fears of a full-blown border trade war had many people on edge, wondering if this was a sign of a cooling-off period or a setup for more drama. Even though Trump insists these tariffs target the flow of fentanyl into the U.S., they've already stirred the stock market and sent ripples through the economy. The impact was swift and unsettling, like a sudden jolt that left investors reeling. Continuing his usual combative tone toward Canada since taking office again, Trump this week accused outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of using the tariff dispute as a way to cling to power. The claim added another twist to the story, making it clear that politics and trade were now tangled in a risky dance. Although Trudeau announced his resignation in January, an explosive call on Wednesday between the two leaders saw Trump claim he tore into his northern counterpart. The call crackled with tension, leaving many curious about what was said behind closed lines. On Truth Social, Trump recounted, "Justin Trudeau, of Canada, called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped." His words came out raw and unfiltered, carrying the heavy emotion of loss and frustration. He went on, "He said that it's gotten better, but I said, that's not good enough." The blunt reply left no room for compromise, only adding fuel to the fierce exchange. Trump later mentioned that although the call ended in a somewhat friendly way, he blamed the Canadian Prime Minister for using the whole tariff tussle to stay in power. His tone was a mix of irony and warning, suggesting that not all was as it seemed. Recalling the conversation, he said, "He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin." The words hung in the air, leaving everyone to wonder about the true motives behind the dispute. Finally, Trump added a stark note by claiming that Trudeau's policies were responsible for the death of many people because of fentanyl. This somber remark drove home the high stakes of the conflict, leaving a question mark over just how deep the fallout might run.